Howdy all, welcome back to Lives. I think it's time we play a little 7 Days to Die. Alright. Check it out. I found a bookstore. It's a little bookstore, but it's a bookstore. Also, nearby is hardware. I've been looking for towns? No, I've not been looking for towns. I've been looking for stores. What is up with the, this is like one fancy looking fire station here. Why is your fire station so fancy? Yeah, so we'll get a chance here to look into those stores, probably. Provided things don't go horribly wrong here, where I want to go see why this fire station looks so fancy from the outside. Man, the last time I was in a fire station, there were so many zombies. Just everywhere. Hey, look, there's the pole. Slide down the pole. No, it's alright. I don't need your help. So, while I take a look around this fire station, I, managed to, Oh. Hi! Where did you come from? Just randomly appearing in zombies. I managed to get some time to watch, something actual horror related. I didn't even know it existed until it was already over. But I found out that there was a TV show, only lasted one season, based off of... Yeah, no, it's just weird giant windows for no reason. Like, there isn't even a purpose for this. It's just weird giant windows crammed on top. I don't know. Oh, I don't think I have one of those. Based off The Mist by Stephen King. The TV show said it's a novel. I wasn't aware there was a novel. I read the short story, but I've never read the novel, so it's something that's unlocked. Something I'll definitely have to maybe check out if there's a novel. They had the movie here a few years ago. And I really like the movie. I really like it. I think it's awesome. Probably one of the best Stephen King adaptations ever. So I'm like, ooh, they made a TV show based off The Mist. I wonder if it's any good. The answer is, it's okay. Acting in is... Oh, it's the toilet. I thought it was a female zombie sitting on the floor facing away from me there for a second. What is that supposed to be? And, so, I'll admit it's been a while. It's been a while since I read The Mist, so I don't remember exactly how the story went. But I might be able to use these right now, actually. Oh. Hey, little zombie girl. So I don't remember exactly how things go down in the movie, or in the story The Mist. I have not read a novel called The Mist, so maybe that's different than what I know from the movie, but I've seen the movie several times because I really enjoy it. And one of the things, I mean, I'm a huge sci-fi fan, so you know, if it's sci-fi related, it makes it better for me. And the movie The Mist is kind of sci-fi. Um, if you haven't seen it, spoilers. It's about this small town near an army base. The army does something. They don't quite explain what the army does, but the army does something, and wind up opening a portal through to another dimension, maybe. And the other dimension is similar enough to Earth that the things that live there can interact with Earth. But the atmosphere is slightly different, and so they lose control, apparently, over their portal. And the creatures and the atmosphere come spilling out. Now, the atmosphere causes a reaction with Earth's atmosphere and creates the mist. It's really like super dense fog everywhere, and the mist has got nothing to do with anything other than just being there. But the creatures that come through with the mist are carnivorous and attack humans, and they're giant. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And so every time, and by giant I mean like 80, well, maybe not 80, but 40 to 50 feet tall, and they have like tentacles, and so they just kind of graze. So they just walk along, and when they see something that looks like food, they scoop it up and eat it. Well, when you can't see anything because of the mist, you know, this big thing comes through, and people just get yanked up into the mist, and you can't see what happened to them, right? And so it's really all psychological, because the group of people get trapped inside a store, and so most of the movie takes place in this store, where they kind of go a little crazy, and so that was the mist. That was the mist. It ended with the military showing up and starting to use flamethrowers to burn down all the plant material and the creatures that had come through, and so, you know, it was fun. I really liked it. It was fun for me. It was my kind of horror movie. And so I'm like, all right, I know the TV show is probably not going to be as good as the movie for me. But we'll see, right? And so I started up yesterday, and I started watching it, and I'm like, okay, the acting's not terrible, but the dialogue's a little weird in spots. And but it's a TV show, right? You know, I'm not expecting they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on their scripts, so I can ignore some of the stilted, weird dialogue, and you know, and it starts before the mist happens, just like the movie, and so there's some stuff that goes down before the mist gets there, and I'm like, okay, so they're setting up their characters for the show, and you know, it's fine, and the mist arrives, and I'm like, all right, I'm into this. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. When I say not great, I mean like it's worth a watch. It's good enough to watch. It's just, you know, it's no Battlestar Galactica or something that I really enjoyed. And oh, is this place just empty? This building was looking pretty big. I thought I might want to take a peek in here to see what was in here. Alright, well, let's get in the bookstore then. And so, you know, they've got like a military guy who can't remember who he is, and they got, my crossbow, finally. And, so they, they've got a girl that goes to a party and gets drunk and apparently raped. Oop, back off. And so that's probably the main characters right there, is the girl and her two parents, and so there's some contention between some of the characters because the guy who went to the party with her says it was the quarterback for the football team that did it, and so before they can find out what happened in the middle of all that is when the mist arrived, and so you know, it's got a pretty decent sit up, and then the mist arrives, and so like first thing they show, the mist looks good. I was fine with the mist. It looked fine. Special effects are good-ish. And I felt their bugs could have used a little bit more work, but and so, you know, exactly what I want. Mist shows up. You got characters already in some kind of not crisis necessarily, but already in contention with one another. It's my favorite kind of horror. Hi. Can I ask how you are how you were up here? Because remember, as I've said before, my favorite kind of horror is when a bunch of people already can't get along, get stuck in small area together. Elevator, spaceship, rowboat, I don't care. And so this is that kind of thing, right? Because they're all stuck together, and they have to deal with one another. So I don't want to remove the quest. I want to toggle that it's active. Only because it covers up my timer. Hey, guy. Hey. And so, the first scene is at the police station when the mist arrives, I think, and police officer gets attacked by giant bugs. Not giant bugs, but big cockroaches, they kind of look like to me. And only they're, you know, flesh-eating cockroaches, if that's a thing. I don't think that's a thing. And so, he gets killed by the bugs. Oh, I guess I could have just come over here. And I'm still like, all right, bugs coming out of the mist. That's what I want. I want the weird creatures from the other dimension to come out of the mist and start killing the townsfolk as they turn on one another. That is what I want from this show. So I'm pleased at this point. And then the show just goes weird. And there's this old couple, and they're walking through the mist, leaving the... I forget where they came from, but they wind up... Oop, I saw you. They go walking through the mist, trying to get back to their vehicle, and they get turned around a little bit, and then this guy comes out of the mist, and he's got a gun. He's like, "Are you real? Are you real?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're real." And then he shoots the guy, and he's like, "Oh no, oh no, I just had to be sure. You can't be sure. You can't be sure." And then he shoots himself. I'm like, okay, why would he doubt that person was real? Because the portal or whatever happened has nothing to do with actual creatures. It's some kind of weird supernatural show that has no cohesive thought process on what's happening. And it kind of ruined it for me. I mean, it's worth watching. It's not terrible. But, you know, this is like ruining War of the Worlds for me. I love War of the Worlds. There are several incarnations of War of the Worlds. I've enjoyed a lot of different War of the Worlds stories. But if you've got some terrible version of War of the Worlds, I don't like it. Because I really like War of the Worlds. And so this isn't terrible, but there's no cohesiveness to what's going on. And so, like, you got this cop, he gets killed by cockroaches. He's not the only one to get killed by these giant cockroaches. So I'm thinking, right, you know, creatures coming out of the mist. But then this woman talks to her dead mother, who appears out of the mist, and there's like a big phantom that shows up at one point and sucks the life out of this girl, and you know, there's like a whirlwind of mist that kills somebody, and a dude's tattoo turns real and rips out of his back, and moths come out of his mouth. And I'm like, so what is going on? Did they accidentally release a hallucinogen? I don't. And then it has not happened up to this point in the movie. They got a guy on a gurney, and they're wheeling him through the hospital that is slowly filling up with mist. And blood starts pouring out of his fingernails and stuff like that. And I'm just like, so I don't even understand what's supposed to be going on at this point. You all have lost me. There is no coherent thought process. I was talking to somebody else about it, and I said, it's like they put down a list of creepy things, and then when someone was going to die, they just rolled the dice to see which one it was going to be. Because there's no reason for these deaths. There's no reason for them other than they're in the mist. Like, some people see dead loved ones. Some people just see giant cockroaches. It's not their fears, because not everybody gets killed by their fear. It's not the thing they're thinking of, because not everybody gets killed by things that have even been mentioned up to this point. Like, if it's supposed to be something to do with their psychology, then could you have at least given us a clue so that we can go like, oh man, that was part of their psychological makeup. But no, it's not even that. Why would the teenage girl be almost killed by a phantom? Why would she almost be killed by a whirlwind? None of those have anything to do with anything. Why would the little girl be killed by the phantom? Like, I could see maybe if she'd been on the show already and she told her mother how afraid she was of some bedtime story or something. But no, there was none of that. Just random phantom shows up out of the mist, kills her, fades back into the mist, basically. And so it's like, yep, nope, no reason. One guy talks about the horrible things he's done, and then his tattoo comes to life. Why? Why did his tattoo come to life? I don't understand. What? Huh? And then this one, at the end of it, the old woman whose husband was killed, she goes crazy over the course of the show, and she believes that it's they point out that she's a conspiracy theorist, and so she believes that they are witnessing Mother Nature fighting back against humanity, and that it happens from time to time in this town. And there was something they call the Black Spring, when the lake nearby turned all black, and people died. And so she believes that's what it is, and that it's Mother Nature trying to kill everybody, and that she's nature's herald because she has a story. Now, she tells this story multiple times in the show about this 3 cubs, and they had to reunite them with the mother, and when they reunited them with the mother started killing the cubs, and so they rescued the 3rd cub before it was killed, and then they found out that the cub had a disease. And that they figured the first 2 cubs probably also had the disease, and that she was just killing them to stop everything from being infected with the disease. And so that was her explanation of why she was nature's herald, because she understands that sometimes you've got to kill the innocent to protect the rest of the people. And so... Can you guess what she was killed by at the end of the show? That's right, a baby. What? Not her baby, not baby cubs, just a random baby. She never told a story about a baby other than those 3 cubs. And it was just a baby. And her husband's just like, shows up out of the mist, right? A dead husband who got shot shows up out of the mist and is like, I'm sorry. They already got him, and then she takes the baby, and then she starts to breastfeed the baby, and then she turns into a skeleton, basically, and slumps over. What? You don't even make any sense. Like, if she had talked about how her and her husband had lost their children, how all she ever wanted was a child, but that's not part of the dialogue on this show. It hurts my brain, man. Hurts my brain. Okay. Now, I do have a bed that I have a box next to I need to go back and collect stuff from. And then I really need to take my stuff back to my main base and get a crossbow going now. Unless I stick with this compound bow. I think the compound bow might be good. But I think I gotta have the workbench, of course, to make that. And I'm not sure I can make the other parts that go with it. But yeah, it could have been a better show had they just linked things together. I don't understand why there were no links. And even with the deaths they had, I could link them to the people if it had something to do with the... no, you know what, whirlwind, I cannot link a whirlwind to anybody. Nobody on this show was afraid of whirlwinds. I say whirlwinds, it was more like spring of mist. Like not not a water spring, but like an actual, like a slinky. And it just formed up around the girl in a twisty circle and then started going in her mouth. And I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? You have no, like, is the mist alive? Can't tell? Is it based off of their psychology, like their memories and stuff? Can't be, because not everybody is dying to things that they have memories of. I did like, they did have one that fit together, I felt, and that was, there was a priest, and he talked about how it might be the apocalypse, you know, the Revelations apocalypse, and how he's not really an apocalypse kind of guy, and so he winds up being killed by the Four Horsemen. That's like the only death that fit with what people said. Like, maybe you could fit the baby in. Not really, though. That just doesn't make any sense to me. That baby thing makes no sense. Like, if you equate baby with cub, but how do you fit that in with anything else? Like, she's not killing it, so yeah, no, you've lost me. So I don't get it. I don't get it. I want to take this with me too. Guess I throw this away. Okay. Now, where is my home base? I don't know where my home base is. I think it's over here, right? Home. I am pretty sure my home base is in that little spot there. Just a long way to go. But that is what I've got my motorbike for, right? I want to put some fuel in this. I just... Sometimes I watch this stuff and I'm like, did you actually stop and think about what you were doing? Because what you're doing doesn't make any sense. And I think this show, it only lasted one season and then it got canceled. And it might have been able to do better had they have given some thought to how their things connected. You can't just have creepy fog. Like, that's it. That was their whole premise. We have a creepy fog. The end. I just... Not being able to have any understanding of what was happening ruined the movie for me. Or the show. They also had a military contingent going on in the show who knew what was happening, and some of them committed suicide because they knew what had happened, and some of them were hiding the fact they were the military because they didn't want the civilians to know, and one of the main characters was a military guy who'd lost his memory, you know, so obviously the military had something to do with it, just based off of what was going down. But Yeah. I like the very end of it. Not the very end of it, but I enjoyed the few minutes right before the end of it. The main part of the story was the girl got raped. She blamed the football guy. The mother got furious because the father let her go to the party where it happened, and so they got separated. And so the father, the mother, and the daughter are at the. Oh man. Where did my deer go? Deer. Have you seen a deer? I thought I had figured out where to aim with this thing, but... I wanted your meat, deer. Did it die? That's not deer antlers. I don't know. I don't know what happened to it. I would have thought it was right here, but it just vanished. Even was running. I feel like I should have seen it running. Okay, where do I gotta go from here? I need to go the way I'm facing. Okay. So the mother and daughter wound up at the mall, which is where a lot of the show takes place. The father wound up having to cross the entire... There's a part in a hospital, too. But the father wound up having to cross, like, the entire town to get to the mall. And, so... The people decided that the girl had to be sacrificed to the mist to... Okay. The crazy lady who became nature's herald showed up and told them that the girl had to be sacrificed to the mist because she was the start of everything. And so they had to sacrifice her because she had to die to end it. She'd already told them that of the police chief's son, who is the guy, the quarterback. And so they'd already thrown him out into the mist. And so now they have to throw the girl out. Well, then the girl's mother won't go, and the guy who is in charge of the mall, he's all angry because the woman is defying him. And so they want to throw her out as well, and so they're going to throw out the mother and the daughter, and then the father shows up, and then they wind up throwing them all out into the mist. And so the... Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm going the wrong way here. The father actually has a vehicle, and so they just go... they go to get in the vehicle, and then as they're leaving... Oh man, this road is not something I can drive on. Wow. Hey, Trader Joel's, your road is terrible. You ought to get out here and turn that into an actual road, buddy. As they're leaving, he stops, and these people have gotten pretty horrible. They've been throwing people out into the mist, stuff like that, and so he stops the truck that they're in and tells everybody to put on their seatbelts. And then he backs into the big glass entrance of the mall, breaking it open so the mist can get inside. And then people just start dying. Their veins turn black, they fall down, blood's spewing out of them. There's nothing. It's just the mist. And then suddenly one guy's covered in snakes. And he's never mentioned snakes up to this point, so I don't understand why he's suddenly covered in snakes. And then, like I said, the crazy woman's husband shows up with a baby, and then she breastfeeds it, and then it sucks the life out of her. And I'm like, does it make more sense if it was diseased and gave her a disease or something to at least fit in with the narration of that story she keeps telling? I also think the priest should have been killed by a spider, not the Four Horsemen, because that would have fit in with the narration of the story. Because there was a moment where she thought the spider was God, and he killed the spider. So it would have made way more sense if a spider had killed him instead of the Four Horsemen showing up. I don't know. That seemed more dramatic than, hey, I jokingly said I wasn't an apocalypse kind of guy, and then the Four Horsemen kill me. I mean, at least there was a link between those two things. Just not a great one. And so then they drive away, and I thought that was fun for me. But then they got to the crossroads to either go to, I don't know, Bangor or some other town in Maine, because it's Stephen King. Everything takes place in Maine. And then they saw a train, and then they follow the train, right? Because they're gonna go to the station, wait for the train, and when they get to the station, they turn the lights out to see what's going on with the train, and the train stops, and they're waiting and waiting, and you can see their cattle cars, and so the side doors open up, and people in gas masks start shoving people in prisoners' uniforms out into the mist, and they're like, what are they doing? What are they doing? And then the father goes, they're feeding it. And then that was the end of the show. So as far as cliffhanger making it unwatchable or going to leave you angry, not too big of a cliffhanger other than you don't get to find out what the military was responsible for. You don't find out why the guy doesn't have his memory. And you don't know why they're feeding the mist. But that's it. It's not terrible of a cliffhanger to make it angrily unwatchable like Dark Matter did to me. Not that it's unwatchable, just that you're not going to be happy with the ending of it. This one wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. It's like 10 episodes. If the horror part of the show had some kind of tie-in to what was going on, I feel it would have been a much better story. I mean, not even major changes. You wouldn't have to change any of the major storyline really at all. Just, could we please tie their deaths into the person instead of just being random deaths? I would have thought that for like the woman who kept telling the story about the bear killing her cubs, maybe the mist should have formed a bear and just shown up and killed her. The priest killed the spider. A spider should have killed the priest. You already had the Phantom come out and face off against the teenage girl. Why didn't the Phantom show back up? Why was it a twisty spring of mist instead of the Phantom that she already faced off against? I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and call it here. So I'm almost back to where I think my base is at. I'd like to get back before it gets dark here, but I feel like I should almost be able to make it. I guess I don't have enough gas. I should have stopped and got some gas. That's going to be a problem. I've only got 6 things of gas left, and I do actually have a long way to go. I'd better go get some gas here. But I should be able to handle this, right? Right? We'll see. Click like, subscribe, share, and catch the next one. And I will talk to you later.